we are going to adjourn, call the meeting to order. We're not doing the other one. We're calling the meeting to order. So you guys are ready to go home. And it should say February. So we're gonna look at accepting the minutes from February.
So Allison just handed them out because she was
Okay.
she's having email issues. Or just do a time, but that's the other one for a second, just so we can take a peek at it.
Thank you. We have any comments, discussion?
I looked over briefly around here. Okay. Oh, there it is.
Have no discussion.
I'll just take a quick peek.
Yeah.
She was actually here in the last one, right?
Yes.
Yep. And I'll put forward a motion to accept the meeting minutes from February 12th of 2026.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We don't need to do a roll call because we've nobody on the call.
And go.
All right, so the next meeting and what I'm gonna suggest is maybe we don't cancel the update from the town administrator in case he joins us in a few minutes. But if he joins us, we can come back to that as long as everybody is okay with that idea.
Mhm.
All right. So then we're on to the updates.
Beginning with the pastoral programming of the Friends, 75 families have signed up for trees.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That
that's
is
a
a big
big
thing.
registration is closing, so those should be delivered around Earth Day, April 20th-ish. We don't know what kind of trees they are. That is a big question, but they don't tell us until closer to the date. And the seed library is newly up and running. Email went out this afternoon.
Yes,
So
I saw
those two things are spring forward, right?
Excellent, yeah.
There's a Zen Tango class coming up on April 2nd. That is usually very popular. Dairy Queen fundraiser on May 7th.
May
So
7th. Okay, sorry, I was close.
anybody who goes in, that isn't like, you don't need a flyer or anything like that. You just go in there. They're very generous.
Yeah.
I thought you tonight I was gonna suggest we all go after.
That time. And then finally, the book sale is going to be the 6th of June this year. The Friends have decided that they wish to attempt pricing the books out as opposed to the donation mode. So for this year, we're going to try that out and see to, compare and contrast.
Did they say anything about when you're starting collection?
I don't know if Lisa just said April but I don't think she's had like a.
Yeah, I would
We
say,
usually say April 1st, right?
yeah, I mean, if
I
you
mean,
happen
it
to,
looks like-
I was gonna say.
I know,
Our friends have
I was
started.
thinking
If you happen to like start mid-April. 'cause I
Okay.
have- Yeah, well, that's
Okay.
all one person. I was. a
So I
special
won't-
arrangement.
I
didn't
won't
realize
put-
I was getting that much stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I won't put it in the April newsletter, but I'll send out a separate, like in terms of.
Yeah, I mean, 4 boxes turned into 14,
Yeah.
which I was surprised by.
I feel like something else is going, besides the townwide yard sale, which we know is that June 6th, which is the best time, in my opinion, to have the book sale, because I think we get a lot more traffic. There was something else big in town on that day.
there's the strawberry festival.
Yeah,
I was like,
but I feel like I saw something else, but not that would interfere with the book sale, but I would like.
June, check the, I don't think it's on the Mendon Commons events page. but,
Okay.
Like that's, I mean, like we could check there and it would be good to know, right?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. It isn't yet because I'm in charge of that. So-
okay.
The events page,
Yeah.
nice,
Calendar Chiquita. So, tell you if that is.
okay, all right, I don't know why, but I don't know if it was the last meeting or something I saw that I was like, oh, June 6th, I feel like that's our book sale. Okay. I'm actually away this year, I think.
What?
The leave on the fifth.
How convenient.
I've been here.
No, I-
Yeah, I think we leave on the fifth.
So it might be-
Oh, no, maybe we're the following week.
Right.
Or is it
One
the
of your
fifth through the,
sons.
it's either the fifth through the 12th or the 12th through the 19th. It might be the 12th through the 19th. I might be all right. If I'm here, then I will be here. You know that.
Yes.
Oh, you won't be able to take my sons because they'll be with me.
Oh, yeah.
Right, anything else?
No.
That was a lot. I'm not trying to downplay. That was, you guys had a lot going on. It's
Yeah.
great. All right, are we ready to move on to the director's report?
All
Are
right.
you ready for that, Andrew?
Sure. Let's see, staff. The shared position between Chris and Therese is working well. Therese just started this week. They'll be doing March through May, and then Chris will take the summer shift starting in June, so she'll be doing July, August. That's going, or has gone well so far. We rescheduled the staff meeting to next Tuesday. The Tuesday you're supposed to have it was snow and ice day. So that didn't happen.
Are you serving beer at the same time?
What's that? Oh, I know, it's St. Patrick's
Free
Day.
beer.
Not allowed.
No. And I'll be talking a little bit about evaluations. We'll do, I'll be doing those in May. This year, everybody's evaluations will be much like they were in the past. Next year will be a little bit different because there'll be goals for Tara's position, so I'm gonna change things up that way. And I'll probably change the library assistants evaluations after this year. And we'll try to put together some informal work goals for them. Let's see, just in terms of times off, I'm gonna take a couple of Wednesdays in March and April to use some vacation days. That's a day when there's coverage, so might as well, otherwise you lose vacation days if you don't use them, so. And then Tara's dates of vacation in April, our times don't overlap, so that should be fine. Let's see, something very quick, when I was at the library budget proposal meeting, I did lay the groundwork for an adult and teen services librarian. I did mention that my thinking is that it would be nice if that individual had a tech background. Not only for instruction, but just for in general.
It's a nice thing to have for the library in general.
It would,
Some support there.
yeah, and it would be nice that we wouldn't have to like call it all day or whatnot. So, I did mention that that's sort of it could start as a 19-hour per week position to be grown into a full-time position. Or it could begin as like a 30-hour a week adult and teen services librarian. We're looking at adding that to the staff over the next 3 to 5 years. Facilities, let's see. Oh, yeah, so these units were not working a couple of weeks ago during very cold weather. And it turned out that the condenser fan motor on one of those just outside here had gone. And so that needed to be replaced, and the manufacturer recommended if you replace one, you gotta replace the other. Gem diagnosed that and then proceeded to charge us $340 for like a 10-minute visit. And then they quoted the job at like 2,200, something like that. Yeah, 2,200. So Dutton Energy, who I had deal with the clogged line up on the HVAC upstairs, I liked their work last time and they were cheaper. I asked them and they literally came in at $640 cheaper. So I had them do that, and it was Tuesday this week, so it's all set and back to normal. Let's see, everybody's seen the wonderful dead tree out front. I have to call a tree warden and get that taken care of. I don't know if it's on the library property or if it's on the neighboring property, but it's clearly fallen onto our property. So I will be contacting him for that. ABC Septic will be in next week to pump the trough out here, because that's a biannual thing that has to happen. And before we couldn't get to it because there was a lot of snow. Now there's no snow, good time. Let's see, today World Band was in and they replaced the UPS, uninterruptible power supply in the back room. It was shot, basically. He took a look at it, it was draining very quickly. That's gonna cost around $300. I don't know what the charge will be in terms of his coming over, but yeah, I mean, fortunately, this is like the less expensive end of something like that. You could go more expensive, but they try to keep those costs lower. So anyway, that's been replaced. Should be set there. Yes.
Question on that one.
Yep.
Is that already written into part of the contracts for standard maintenance? Like, would they have a cycle of verifying that it's good?
Oh, you mean just checking it, you mean, or?
Sure, because batteries have a life. So
Yeah.
like they may, depending upon what they're,
Yeah, but I mean, the reason they came over is it went out and then one morning there was no internet. And so I basically, there was talking to CW Mars, took what was plugged into that UPS and directly plugged the router into the wall.
Yep.
Just to bypass that, and he took a look today and determined that. Is that what you're asking, or,
yes and no. I'm wondering if this is part of like,
part of the
part of
maintenance?
part of routine maintenance.
That's a great question. I don't know. Anytime I had this issue once before with mine up in my office. And I was, you were charged whatever it was.
Okay.
Let me guess it isn't, but I can look into it.
More just curious.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There are certain things that we wind up having to pay for through them. They'll come out and do service and that, and sometimes that's not, charged.
Gotcha.
But in this case, the 2 times I've had this happen, they have, so. But yeah, if you decide, I can always say. Okay. Budget, so $23,410.94 paid out in February. That's 13,600 in salaries and 9,700 odd in operations. 64%, a little over 64% of the budget has been spent, just under where we should be this time of year, which is 66.6. 63.3% has been spent in salaries and 65.4% in operations. So we're close, not too bad. Areas of largest expenses for the month, a little over 1,100 in contracted services. Large fuel bill for the month, almost 2,000, probably our largest or most expensive ever, actually. I don't recall ever being above maybe 1,800. Hopefully start to go down in the next couple of months. Books, we spent a little over 2,800, programming, a little over 2,000. Had the budget proposal presentation on Wednesday, was that no, week before. I did mention the work of the rectory subcommittee, just to tell them kind of things that were going on. Rectory subcommittee, the fact that there's a feasibility study on that building now, that we're in year 4 of the 5-year strategic plan. And that I did mention to them, obviously we're still interested in being open more than 35 hours a week. Obviously talk about the adult and teen services position. The one thing that was a little bit of concern to me was when we were talking about the building maintenance budget, they said, and I think this was mentioned also, as far as Jeremy had mentioned this to me, that it was also mentioned in the senior center presentation, that there was a question as to whether or not the building maintenance budget should be moved over to facilities.
Mhm.
because facilities will be dealing with it. My issue with that would be that if you decide to just wholesale move building maintenance over to facilities, that takes a huge chunk out of the budget. And then all those things start to raise red flags with the state because X amount is no longer part of the budget. You know, there has to be a certain amount that is given to the library. It can't be disproportionate to a cut anywhere else in the budget or within any other department.
7% of the budget.
Let me think. Is that,
Building maintenance, it's 7%.
right, yeah, exactly. So I mean, I don't know Elaine, what your thoughts are on that. I know that they've been talking about it, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's to move the whole thing, but
Yeah.
to see if there are any
Yeah,
like particular services that the town could handle more, like all of the facilities, so.
right.
So like, 'cause it seems like, well, like, you know, some things are specific to the library,
Right.
like the elevator, like I guess town hall has an elevator.
Right.
There aren't a lot of elevators, but there are, like, everybody has plumbing and, you know,
And I
like, so
completely
like,
understand the idea of like consolidation,
Right,
you know,
and
of certain
Plumbing,
things.
HVAC.
yeah, so, but some of it could be helpful
Right,
to
Right.
you and
But-
helpful to the town as a whole.
You're worried about the accreditation.
Right,
Because
we're
they
more
take,
so about
they
having
take,
to
right.
fall into like waiver territory.
Right,
Right.
they take our budget into consideration, and if our budget numbers
Cut
suddenly
stuff.
change because
Right.
they're saying, well, now the town will no longer fund this,
Right.
they're concerned that, you know, and we all know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is because we've got new organization in the town and it all makes sense, but the state doesn't necessarily know that they're just
Right.
looking at numbers.
I understand the waivers used to be more frequent. I mean, so like, it's a thing that might be on the table in the future, just as the town is trying to like
Right.
tighten its belt.
I mean, certain things
And I
might
don't
not, you
think
know.
it would be just the library. I mean, that's the thing, is like, if this
Right.
right, it wouldn't be.
But I don't
just
know the state would care, because they're only gonna look at the library.
They,
as far as accreditation for the library. That's what
I mean, somebody was saying that they do take that into consideration, or it could be explained. I mean, like, I don't know, I've not been
Yeah.
part of that
You might,
process
I mean,
before.
it's not that you couldn't go down and talk to them about
Right.
that potentially.
But I don't,
You know, depends on.
like, it would be surprising if, like, you know, having plumbing, you know, one part of it, like, that would, like, you lose accreditation because the town was.
Right.
Streamlined.
Comes up with a contract for a plumber that's going to handle all of the town.
Right, like,
If-
hypothetically, right. like,
Or
yeah,
an HVAC company.
Yeah,
I mean, and another part of the library budget could offset, like if there was more in another section of it, or given in another section of the budget, then
Mhm.
it's a wash, but you know.
Mhm.
I only said that just to say, like, look.
Right,
it's
so if
possible.
so you're just, I'm throwing a fake number out there, but say building maintenance is set $5,000. So say the town now wants to take
Yeah,
over
it's
building
24,
maintenance,
it's like
if that
almost-
$5,000 comes out of building maintenance and goes to the town, do we get $5,000 back somewhere else? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah, I mean, or
Maybe.
if there was a request that was made that was
Yeah.
granted for the year for salaries. I don't know.
Right. It might actually make it easier to make the additional salary requests that, like, you know, I don't know, like,
Right.
it's. Like, as far as the town goes, it's kind of like potentially a wash, except like an advantage if we can streamline it and get, like, you know.
Right, economies of scale, right?
Exactly.
Instead of having two different elevator companies, we have one.
So
It makes sense.
The specialists focus on their specialization, like, I mean, we joked about this, Andrew, you didn't go to, you know, library school.
Oh, yeah.
To learn about like septic systems, right? And like, yes, it's useful that you have this information,
Yeah.
but like. The library is not necessarily, like, as a whole,
Oh,
better served by
yeah.
having your attention going into those.
Yeah, no, I mean, big picture, I think,
Right.
big picture, I think it's a great thing, because then you have
Yeah.
to focus on that stuff,
Right.
which is wonderful.
Right.
And there have been really good things, like, you know, I said with, Dan, the other time, just replaced the ballast and the lights in the storage room, and I have to deal with
Yeah,
trying to contract with somebody to do that, and it was reasonable, and it was, they had an extra one lying around, so, you
Yeah,
know.
I don't think that anybody is thinks
Yeah.
it's a bad idea.
Right.
It was just a concern, it's something to think about and something to keep in mind, right? And that, you know,
That's it.
Who's the contact that we would call about the accreditation?
I can easily reach out to the FLC and find out.
and it's not even a concern.
We're not there
We're not
yet.
doing it that way.
No,
Yeah.
But
But if it is being considered, then I definitely want to get in touch. with them.
Yeah, not concretely, more abstractly, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
But that's a simple question.
It
Like,
is.
hey, we're
Yeah.
looking, our town is changing.
They're consolidated.
We're consolidating certain services. Have you dealt with this before? Just like ask the accreditation folks, have you guys dealt with this before with other towns? So
Yeah.
either that gives you a contact at another town to talk to that's gone through it.
Right.
Or it also primes the pump with the accreditation folks.
Mm-hmm.
They're now thinking about it, they're not gonna be surprised when we do 2 or 3 years down the road, come and say, hey, our budget's gonna shift by $10,000. And here's why. We've been talking about it for the past 3 years.
Right.
So just, I think,
Yeah, it'd be a quick, quick call.
Yep.
So, yeah, I can do it.
yeah, Ken has to look into it now and be,
Prepared.
right, because we know it's not for FY 27, it would be.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, there are certain things that are still handling, which is fine, it's the way it's been for a while. So, I mean, I know that they're still working out, like, who is it that they want to go with for HVAC or whatever. Let's see, programs, I don't have a lot there outside of, there have been, like I said, the internal, the story time, sort of craft time, never attended. Like some of the morning performers that come in, like Evan Howler and the Bananas, and have had really good attendance. I've been happy with that. Obviously, the weather recently has cut into some things a little bit, but for the most part, it's been decent. I'm going to go through upcoming programs. You can look at your own measure. Like that, projects. Still at the front half of adult nonfiction weeding the 000s through the 300s, doing a targeted weed of children's nonfiction, and the graphic novel shelves have been condensed. Try to create some more space there. Also having staff soon check our magazine collection for most recent issues. Every time Google comes up, there seem to be some that drop off the map, so I have to contact them and let them know that we haven't received certain issues. I don't want to pay for issues we're not getting. Let's see, town news. Yeah, I did meet with Jeremy. We did talk a little bit about the FY27 budget, some of the upcoming challenges, and talked just real briefly about state aid. Copier, fax, and fees, copier and fax fees, we did talk about, his philosophy on that. It's hard for me to sort of, I understand what he was saying, but I'd rather he explain it to you in terms of like why it goes back to the town and stays with the town, because the money comes back in different ways to the library. But he can go over that next time. I don't have a really, he expressed it very well. I don't think I would express it all as well. We did get a naloxone kit that's mounted now in the area up in the hallway, right next to the AED. We have one, and the senior center has one, and the town hall has one. It's like an opioid rescue box, basically, and there's instructions in there. Also, face shield for rescue breathing, box of Narcan. I'm going to talk to the staff about that, and I need to look over the instructions a little bit more. I think it's pretty straightforward, based on what I've looked at so far. I'm not sure, Elena, where that, like how those came in, or if there was.
No,
Yeah,
I feel like there's grant.
there was some sort of
Yeah,
grant.
so,
right?
but I don't know the details,
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
it seems familiar.
yeah. Yeah,
So that's an easy one. Lieutenant Nudd and the fire station can come over and teach you guys how to
Yeah.
do all of it.
okay, that's good.
And Narcan's one of those things where if you're in doubt, you think someone needs it, you give it to them. You're not gonna kill someone by giving them Narcan. You're gonna save a life.
Right.
So it's a very kind of dramatic thing and it's not comfortable, but it works.
I was gonna reach out to them anyway, because I have a couple of staff who didn't get to do the AED presentation with him the other time, so I can put that in with that, maybe you can do one.
They will be happy to.
And we were gonna do it every other year, but we could just as easily do another one in the spring here. I'll reach out to them. Okay, let's see, meeting with Blackstone Valley Library Directors next week at the Blackstone Public Library. The meetings they're very informal, 3 to 4 times a year, but it's nice to bounce ideas and different initiatives that each library is doing. We talk about, so that's a nice thing.
How many libraries are?
It's about, I think, how many there were last time, maybe 8 or 9. So you get Blackstone, Uxbridge, Douglas, Whitensville, who else is part of that? Sutton. I don't remember it is. It's all the ones that are in the immediate area. I think Hopedale was there. She wasn't able to be there from Milford, but often she is. Upton was there. So it's a good group, yeah. And it's nice too, because I'll reach out to them on email sometimes just for asking about this or that, something that I haven't dealt with before. Let's see. Oh, and CW Mars did send a technician over to upgrade the router. That's back there. A lot of things going on in the back of my family. That is an upgrade that doesn't cost us. It's part of the package, and it's actually CW Mars' router, so there's an additional cost to us. That was that. I don't know if you want me to talk about the other thing, because that's interesting in and of itself, but we could do that in things, and yeah, not anticipated. I would say it's probably a good idea. There's one other topic, which is
We're
interesting.
gonna circle back to.
Yeah, we'll circle back to that. That's good. Budget. I don't have too much to mention about the budget. Couple of areas where we're running ahead. Building maintenance, we spent about 75% of that. Contracted services about 85% of that. But then there's some areas where we have not even spent 50%, like utilities and fuel. But there's going to be a couple more payments there that I think are going to chip away.
This month probably hasn't hit that.
Yeah, I suspect it'll be probably close to 2,000 again. Doing all right with books, although I'd like to be a little higher there, maybe have to sort of ratchet up some of our book spending. Does anybody have any questions about the budget? That's what I've got.
All right, do we have any policy? I don't think we have any policy. I left it on here, but I don't.
Yeah, we approved the solicitation policy and then the emergency.
Yep, absolutely, which is great. And I'm happy to come.
Yeah.
Whichever staff meeting you think is best, we can
Oh, good.
use that time to sit with all the staff and talk through the plans.
You know what?
And I guess this is a question more to the entire trustee group. If we have like small changes in any of the plans that are logistical changes. So this meeting kicked into my brain, we now have an Narcan kit here in the building that changes our emergency procedure plan. So my brain immediately went to, hey, we're gonna do an update and refresh. I don't know that we have written out kind of either a review cycle or, well, we do have a review cycle, but for logistical updates on things, does it require still a full vote? Is it at the direction of the, director?
What's interesting is strategic plan said that we should try to periodically revisit them. But I don't know that it was necessarily, you're not supposed to do it every year. But then we could probably do it every 2 years or
Yeah, but
3
what
years.
he's saying is if there's an update, like obviously.
Oh,
This,
Right.
should we do the update, bring it back to the table and do,
Now, how would this update be? Would it be like inserted into that area or would it be like an addendum? Because I think an addendum, we're just approving that addendum and not the whole report.
for this, it would probably be an addendum, because it's something like you're adding to the system. It's not titled, we didn't originally have a place for it in there anyway. Yes, we talked about medical emergencies, but not having to deal with Narcan.
So I think if it's an addendum, that's an easy, we'll just a one pager and we approve it. I think that's an easy.
Yeah, I think you're.
I don't know how you guys
Also,
feel.
it's pretty easy to approve.
Yeah.
But if you get into like larger policies, I think it's a requirement of the school district where you have a reading, first reading, second reading.
We definitely ended up doing with that one.
Oh, yeah.
We read it
Few
one
readings.
time.
We did a few readings.
Yeah. No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Then I'll take that fraction. I don't know that I'll have it ready for next month, but we'll work through that and work
So
through it.
the terminology is, if you have a minor update that's easy to read in the meeting like this.
Yeah.
Then you can waive the second reading and vote on it. That's how they,
Is
it's a policy.
that in school
That's
committee policies? So I don't know if this committee has
think that-
policies.
That's not just.
About the policies,
I'm-
yeah. And then policy.
But it's not a bad
It's very-
process to follow.
Correct.
Yeah.
when would, you wanna come to, I mean, when would you feel prepared to come to the, see?
All right, I didn't mean to laugh at you. Anytime.
Okay, so like if we don't do it this time, I just tell them, hey, listen, we're looking to do that this next time.
Yes.
And, talking.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
Yeah, because that you might want that your main. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
No problem, take care.
Your main focus of the meeting, you know what I mean, because that'll take up a good
that's
portion
gonna
of the
take up a
meeting.
meeting. Yeah, but got it fraction. I'll build an addendum and we'll work that process. I love it.
Good with that?
Yeah.
All right, jump into the contracts. And I don't think we want to talk specific numbers, right? Any of that. This was more, because I think you were,
Well, I have the side letter is what you're.
right, just the side letter for you and the contract for
Yeah, so I did wanna talk about that. because,
that. Yeah, but I guess I'm more saying like, we're not talking specific numbers, because I think we're talking specific numbers. We would want to schedule and go into
Executive session.
executive session, so
Mm.
that's not,
Public.
you know, right, but if we're just talking in general,
General.
yes, thank you, that word,
Gotcha.
which my mouth will not say.
Generalities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then, you know, that was more of what the idea was here was that word.
Okay, because I mean, I know that, my understanding is that the size letter that's there, it's just a matter of signing off on it.
Correct, and I think that's why we brought it here was,
Okay,
you know, just to sign off on it, unless you had
no, I don't have.
other concerns or,
No.
questions or whatever.
Somebody else does.
okay. So I guess that was more of what this was about for that one, and then I know.
So I did reach out to Tara, to ask, and she told me that when she became full-time, there was a discussion with Dan about the union, because I think that's the big thing at this point, is whether or not she's gonna be part of the union.
Mhm.
But she said since that time, she hasn't heard from them. So I think, I don't know, if somebody's gonna need to reach out to Dan or, I don't know who the other union reps, I can't remember their name. But to speak with her about, you know, whether or not this is something.
This
that's
is
gonna
what her
happen,
options are and.
But or is that something that she needs to reach out to them?
Well, I
Show
mean-
her interest in
Right.
doing that.
And I
It's
don't
an
know,
option,
I mean,
which
she-
apparently it is, right?
It is an option,
So-
I don't know if she's interested or not, I'm not gonna. I didn't
But,
wanna-
so maybe we need to have, you know, maybe she needs to take that initiative.
Right,
I don't know.
and I mean,
Like-
either way, I would think, like, you just say, listen, I'm just not interested, if she's not interested, then.
But maybe she wants to know what it's all about too.
Right.
She
You
can,
know,
Right,
think
but if she
that-
can reach out and ask.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
question,
Yeah,
You know,
she should definitely do that.
okay,
But I know that they haven't, when I talked to Jeremy, I think he said that Dan, and I can't remember who the other union was, the name, that would reach out to her, but that hasn't happened. So, I mean, I can just let her know.
I mean,
Just say, hey, listen, it'd probably be worth it to reach out and
it
just
fell
to
off their
decide,
radar
yeah.
somewhere.
to decide either way.
Right.
Whether or not she wants to do that.
Yeah.
Right, but we'll just need a decision one way or the other.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so then we'll hold off on hers until that conversation
I think
happens.
that's probably.
That's probably fair, okay, so that is not one to consider. I do have a printout of yours, which I'm sure you do as well.
I actually made some
Okay,
and
it's,
signed them, but I mean,
and that's totally fine.
not with your names.
I know. That would be brilliant.
I haven't mastered everything.
Good luck with mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't ask it.
It was on there was a copy on the attachments
Yes.
for today's meeting.
Yep.
Did anybody have any questions or concerns about it from what they saw? I know that wasn't the one you had, it was the other one, right? The email you sent. Okay, we're tabling that one anyway, so, all right, are we good with moving forward with it? Obviously, Andrew is, he's already signed his copies, he's good.
I was just trying to, some extra.
I'm teasing you. All right, so are we good
Yeah.
to approve and
I think
move
so.
forward?
Do we have a motion for that?
I don't know,
I'll have
probably.
to put forth a motion to accept the contract as written and present signatures when applicable.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So I mean, I have 3 copies. One would be for myself, one would be for you, and then one I'll get to the town. So,
Sounds
I don't
good.
know if you want to just at the end do that or.
Yeah.
So they don't sign before you,
Any other?
before you head out. Okay.
Everything's good?
Yeah.
All right. Perfect, that one's done. Cruising right through this meeting. Strategic planning goals, that's the next.
So I'm gonna, the next meeting with the school advisory committee, MISCO is, on, April 1st. So I will talk to the principal then. I want to sort of, once again, lay the groundwork for a bus. She definitely seemed to be interested in that. I don't know about what the high school would do or what the issue would be there. I don't know if you have any sense of what that's like or if there would ever be that sort of. It seemed like it was tougher to do it through the high school. I think the middle school potentially we could, but
I have no idea why it would be, other than space, but I think we have more space on the high school, it's because some of the kids drive. So do you want me to broach it there?
I mean,
Or,
if you happen to see somebody, otherwise just let me know, like, should I just contact one of the principals?
yeah, you could reach out to them, or even Amy Bazell, which is their assistant. And then
Okay.
she could then,
That's cool.
schedule a meeting.
Buzzels.
I was trying, in my head, I was like, is it Z's or is it S's? Z's.
Okay. All right, yeah, I can do that.
I just plug in Amy and it comes up in mine, so. Contact lists are a beautiful thing.
So I'm gonna do that. I do have started a draft for in-home our housebound service but I have to get that over to Amy. I did see her recently. And so that's gotta happen soon. I need to get that done soon. I don't have a lot outside of that at the moment. I think I said last time, we actually made some really good progress on the strategic plan goals. Maybe we're 3/4 of the way there.
We're at year 5, are we not?
We're going to be.
We're going to be,
Yeah, coming
okay,
up as year 5.
okay.
Then the question is,
So in the next year, we probably need to think about.
about-
how we move forward.
yeah, is it, typically what happens is you get through the 5-year plan and then you work on starting that whole process up again. So I had some names. I saved a number of emails of names of individuals. I'd like somebody different this time, just because I think it would be refreshing as opposed to, have the same person come in. And I know of some good ones that have been recommended. to me, so.
Do we want to start that process now?
I don't
Like of
see-
reaching out to them and starting,
Yeah.
creating that committee, because it takes
It takes,
time to get that done. So if we start it now, hopefully maybe we'll be ready by the end of the 5th year to implement the new one.
yeah, because I mean, I was looking back at, previous reports and that, we had a strategic planning committee
Right,
and then met with, Mary Brainey.
Yes.
And then worked through all of that, and we had surveys that had to be done, school visits. There was like open forums that were held, so yeah, all of that sort of thing. The sooner we start, the better.
Is there money in the budget to
so I don't remember where we got the money
It
last year,
wasn't,
but
it wasn't like a grant.
I mean, this might be a good state aid thing.
Yeah.
This is what we have state aid for, right? And why we
Exactly.
keep it
Yes.
for these kinds of things. So
Yep.
this might be a great use for that.
They have used part of it this
I
last.
feel like we
We
did,
made
but
up, yeah.
I don't, I think that was prior to me being on the
Yeah.
committee when it was approved.
Right.
Yeah, because I feel like you were on the Friends when you first became part of that committee.
I think, yeah, I hadn't moved over yet.
Mhm.
I think I transitioned in the middle.
Mhm.
I'm happy to reach out to Dr. Cohen also to see who they used for their strategic plan, because I think they were pretty happy with the process.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So it's maybe similar folks, but we.
yeah. Could be somebody that was even mentioned, that works with libraries and schools, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, that's cool.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, once we understand what it's gonna cost, we can then revisit that
Right.
thing. But I feel like we have the funds,
Yeah.
that shouldn't be holding us back in this case.
And some of it will, shift over, transfer over from the previous plan, just either is an expansion or it'll be some of the same things.
The great thing is we're not starting from scratch.
No, we're not.
All of that background on the town and the history and all of that's done.
Yep.
Right,
Yeah, that's
so,
very true. There are certain sections of that that are well set. So
Right.
That's good.
which might circle back to another topic later. All right, are we good with strategic?
Mhm.
All
Yes.
right. Director of the subcommittee, any updates or news?
So we are going to meet next, obviously. The only thing that I was thinking is that, we're kind of gonna discuss well, the whole thing that just came up with Jeremy will be a discussion.
Yeah.
But we'll probably talk about like how often we feel that we still need to meet, because we don't think we need to meet on a monthly basis at this point.
Yeah.
Since we're kind of tabling this project for more of the future. So we don't want to drop off altogether, but, maybe we meet less frequently and we come up with a plan. So I think that's kind of where we stand for tonight's meeting.
Any update on, the assessment of long-term maintenance for that building?
Well, good question. I'll go back and check.
Okay.
No, I
Yeah, we
I
haven't
did
heard
reach out,
anything.
but I don't.
One
They
of the
did send
things-
us- They did, well, they sent that.
Well, we got the
The
quote.
cost.
We got the cost, but
Do it, but
We're
you'll
just shipping it back to the town.
Oh, that's.
and I was thinking about this,
Yeah.
I don't think we can legally use state aid funds to pay for that because it's not library operations. And state aid has to be for library operations. That building doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the town.
Point.
I was thinking about it this week, so I don't think we could even pay for that study from state aid. I mean, if we had money in our budget, sure, but
Even if it was a library initiative or
Right.
potential, okay. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
I don't know
Yeah.
why it popped into my brain this
Yeah.
past week, but it popped into my brain this past week. That would be a concern and a reason we might not be able to even do it there. It's still 75 years old, yeah. So, yeah. You're thinking about.
It's really close.
Yeah.
It's really close.
So, very close.
I will go back and find out
But-
and make sure we've got an update on that.
Either way, I think we want facilities to look at it first because it's gonna be a heck of a lot cheaper
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
for our people to look at that versus trying to.
Yes, right. I think that's where we kind of left it, was that we had gotten a quote from GRLA to do that study for us. And then we were gonna discuss maybe having facilities.
I'm gonna double check right
Button
now.
up the building.
Yeah, because I thought I said it over there. I'll figure out And if I screwed it up, I'll fix it. If I didn't screw it up, I'll figure out who
It's not a big
needed
deal.
to do what they needed to do and fix it. How about that?
Not a big deal either way.
Right.
That was just a side note, because it's something I remembered last meeting.
But you're right, that might not be,
I don't, yeah,
because it's not technically a library.
building, and it's not
Building.
supporting library operations,
Yeah.
which is what the requirements are behind state aid
Yeah.
and the
It
use of
has to,
state aid.
it has to further library services in some.
Right, which technically that would be,
Yeah.
well, it's not official because it's not been
Right.
approved,
Right.
so,
Right.
Right.
Especially in terms of if it's the immediate maintenance and care of that building, which is the property of the town.
Right.
As opposed to specifically the library's responsibility.
Right, that doesn't make sense.
so, sorry, I
No.
sidebarred that,
That's
anything
okay.
else?
Fine, I'll figure it out and find it and fix it.
I don't think there's anything to fix
Oh, I
necessarily.
got find and fix kind of a.
All right. I feel like I need to slide over a little. All right, anything else in the subcommittee?
No, I don't
No.
think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so then, circling back to our topics not anticipated.
So, before I forget, I obviously had copies of the report. Does anybody want one? I had like 3. If anybody wants one, you're more than welcome to have one. It's from-
His regular director report.
You got it, okay, all right, if anybody does. Okay, so,
Random sidebar.
yeah, so, when was it? Was that early this week, I think?
Well,
This
I mean,
happened?
the history of it goes back
Oh
2
my
years ago.
gosh, yeah. Well, it goes back even further than that.
It does.
because-
Let people know what we're talking
Okay, all
about.
right.
I have no idea.
This has to do with, initially had to do with 18 Main Street, which was what is now, I don't know what they call it now, the town annex. I mean, for the
Yeah,
longest time, it was
town
like the
annex,
old Taft
yeah.
library, and I said, please stop using old Taft libraries,
Yeah.
because people get confused. So, I want to, this is probably at a meeting, I guess, in 2024 at some point, that Carol Cook had mentioned that this, the annex, 18 Main Street, didn't have a name. And she had said that because Lorna Rhodes had been the first librarian, and I'll get to correcting something shortly, but the first librarian of the Taft Library, that annex be like the Lorna Rhodes, I don't know, Memorial Annex or something like that. Specifically asking about 18 Main Street. This was seen by Lorna Rhodes's, I think it's her daughter. Could be a granddaughter, I'm gonna guess it's her daughter, Missy. Who then asked in 2024, or he brought that back up again to say, is that possible? Could it be considered named for Lorna Rhodes? This was at the time that there was a lot of sort of talk, chatter about like, what will it be named, and people had different ideas. Ellen was on the trustees at the time, so she had mentioned some things to me in an email. I went back and I looked at all this stuff. And she had mentioned some options, other people had options elsewhere. And then I think Mike Maroli mentioned something about a plaque or having a plaque to recognize the library. In the old Taft Library. No, at 18 Main Street.
18 Main Street.
So, if those of you who were on the trustees before, there was a vote taken to say, yes, would we like to have a plaque made for the library and a memorial to them for that location.
And it was for more than just Lorna. I think they were
Yes,
looking at
exactly.
representing or recognizing all of the.
Yes, see, because, one of the issues is that Lorna Rhodes, as much as we love her and love what she brought to the library community, she wasn't the first librarian there. I think she was the third or the fourth. And there had been other librarians prior to her at that building. So that was the extent of it. And so when I wrote my email back to the select board and to Missy, I said, yes, the trustees with recognized librarians who worked at the Taft. And the other thing that we had said, or the trustees had said, was we're fine helping to brainstorm a name for the town annex. But didn't feel like we wanted to be part of a vote for that. That was more of a historical commission type thing.
That really wasn't in our purview.
Really,
It's not our building anymore.
It's not.
really. So last week, I don't know.
So it
Thursday,
died there,
It died.
and we
And
never
the
heard
reason
anything
that
about
it
it.
did was because there were other things that took precedence. There was a town administrator was being town administrator interviews, all that sort of thing were happening, and it got dropped. So nothing happened with it. It's 2 years later now, and I had an email addressed to me, but then copying all of the select board on it to say, where is this issue?
Who sent that?
Missy, right?
Missy did.
Okay.
Right, but it was sent to me and then, like I said, copied to the select board and I think to you, was it to you and?
I can't remember if you forwarded it.
I forwarded it.
Yeah, you might have, or you copied us in on the
Okay.
response, or because
I
I
can't
got the
remember.
whole chain,
Yeah, I did
all that
too.
going back and forth. It's
Right.
fun.
Missy Van,
That,
Van Slet.
Van Slet,
V A
yes,
N
exactly.
S L E T T E.
right. And, so I had said that, by my recollection of having gone back through the emails, yes, we approved the idea of a plaque. I mentioned the whole thing about the naming that we, I don't know where, I basically tried to keep it really basic and say, I don't really know where that's at. If you'd like, I can ask the town administrator, next time I meet with them on a monthly basis. Okay. I thought that would be like the end of it, because then I could go to Jeremy and talk about it and say, hey, listen, this got dropped. I don't know where this was in terms of the naming. I don't know where it went to.
Sure.
So then Mike Maroli wrote to her to say that, the apologies that it had been dropped, there were other things that had taken precedence at the time, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just gonna boil this all down. What happened next was that, for whatever reason, the 18 Main Street, he said that the 18 Main Street location could not adopt a name based on certain stipulations.
Of the donation from when it was donated from the town,
When it
like
was
back when it was
donated, yeah.
partnered in.
Oh, sure.
By Rosa Taft.
Right.
Yeah.
But he said, but there's no such requirement, and this is how I'm reading it, there's
Yeah.
no such requirement for the current library.
We're at right now.
And I was like,
Yeah,
So-
he was confusing things even more.
right, and so.
So he
like,
brought up
you know,
maybe renaming this.
and I don't know if it was an idea to like sort of bring closure, but literally that is going to create a snowball effect for us in terms of what would have to happen in order for that to, and that was never on the table.
No.
That was never part, and that was never part of Missy's request. Missy's request was for 18 Main Street, it wasn't for 29.
And
So this
his
is where-
last email was like, we're just gonna put it on the agenda and you all need to show up and discuss it.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's not, it wasn't part of anything before this. It was not part of the conversation. It wasn't part of the discussion. It doesn't rise to the level of being put on an agenda because it's not part of
The library.
the situation at hand. And the situation at hand had to do with whether or not you named 18 Main Street and not this library.
And what was more frustrating about it was you tried to say, can we have a further conversation? And he shut you down.
Right.
With
The issue was,
No.
I said, I would like to speak with the trustees about this, and then I get back to you. No, you just come to we'll put it on the agenda, you just come to the meeting and with your ideas and, we'll hash it out and.
And have them represented and have.
And have
Right.
like the select board there, have us there, have. Did you say the store commission there, I guess, and figure it out. Now, I don't know.
I think I was CC'd on all of them.
You might have missed the last half of those.
I think it's hard because I didn't want to drag everybody who was on the email into this
Right.
conversation, and at some point it might have
This
been.
was
Yeah,
not
it's
a
just-
right.
Jason,
This
Jeremy.
is with Jason, it was like, my,
Right.
you know,
Oh, yeah, that's.
Jason for sure.
Okay, that's what.
So I did craft a response because I talked to Lisa. And I don't know where this goes. I just don't think it should be on an agenda. I don't feel that it's merited based on what the situation was. I mean.
So maybe we pose the question here, would anybody here consider renaming this building?
No.
No,
And that was my thought, but I didn't want to speak for the board.
Right.
And there are way more headaches with doing that and money for rebranding and like, this would be a very big deal.
Our site, website, you have to
It
do all,
would be a very big deal.
there's publicity that we have, there's, you know, we have to rerun all that.
Yeah, like I said, I asked to have it placed on the agenda so that all parties can discuss it and vote to rename the current building or take any other action, inaction, that's
Get
decided.
on that, right? 'Cause
No,
I will see
you're
that.
not.
Okay.
You're not CC'd on that.
Okay.
And I
And
almost
it's
wonder.
no fault because I wrote directly to him and I included it to you.
Right, so that one's coming back to us.
Then he could have maybe tried to do that, we'll put it on an agenda, and his idea might be, we'll have one conversation, and maybe he thinks we'll vote, it'll all get voted
Right.
one way or the other, and
He
just
said
get
he's
put
trying
to
to
bed.
bring closure to the issue.
But see, that doesn't.
I know.
It doesn't bring closure because
Right.
it's creating such a.
Right, he's creating a whole nother conversation, because
He's not the chair, correct?
No.
No.
so then the nice part is we can just wait or work and advise Jason and be like, Chair, here's what's going on.
and maybe your email gets addressed to him instead of Mike.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And say, so issue 1 is the original location.
Right.
Issue 2 that's now been developed is current location.
Right.
Trustees.
Do you have any insights?
I know.
He makes sure you copy her,
Okay, so,
Yeah.
well, yeah, that's the next thing is I was gonna
Yeah.
ask who.
put her on there too.
Can you do any diplomacy?
Yes.
I mean, is it regular for members to?
Right, I mean, I
an
feel like,
agenda item
so it's regular
without the chair?
for
I mean, if-
members to suggest agenda. items. So we have that process that's like
Right.
collaborative. And I think it's reasonable. I think it's premature to ask other boards or committees to become.
a brainstorm.
So, yeah, I mean, I think, right, this is
Yield
a
solution.
much earlier the discussion, I think, yeah, the select board has not discussed this, so like. Okay, so, yeah, so like you guys should discuss it first. Yeah, and I
Prior
don't
to-
remember we discussed it in 2024, to be honest.
It was 2 years ago.
Like, I mean, I remember something came up and I came to these meetings, you know, so like, I don't remember but yeah, and I don't remember, it was never an agenda. I don't recall. But sometimes there's, you know, discussion.
I know that the 18 Main Street, like they, you know, well, they felt at the time that you should engage the trustees because they may have some ideas.
And I mean, I still think putting a plaque there to commemorate and to, memorialize the previous librarians is a great idea and 100% supportive of that.
Yes,
You
agreed.
know, because that's what they,
And not that we voted on.
right, I still think that's a great
Yeah.
idea. But
And we
the
have
idea of this
genealogy-
building is.
We have a genealogy room that
It's
is
not there
named
yet.
in memory of.
Right. We do have
Yeah.
a memorialized here.
Yeah.
So it's not
It's
there.
already the case.
Right.
So there's a plaque, there's a plaque.
Yeah.
You get a picture of that in.
Right, so I seem to recall there's one, I said, yes, I said in the message, yes, the genealogy room was dedicated in memory of the Brooks.
Yeah.
And then Missy was on that message, so.
Yeah, so.
And I don't think she's not asking for this. I think that is.
Yeah, I think
the
it's,
case.
So I
And
guess my,
maybe he misunderstood, or,
I think so.
my guess is that's more of what it is. It's a big misunderstanding and trying to resolve a several year long conversation to just try to get it resolved and put it to bed. That's probably what he's trying to do.
It might have been that because he was chair when it.
He was the
first
chair when it
happened.
happened.
Correct, so but maybe he's feeling like some accountability.
Maybe.
Potentially, yeah.
So I guess,
True, that could be the case, yeah.
is it worth it to pen, or is it, would it be better to have somebody on the select board to sort of talk to Jeremy? I don't know. I mean, like, I have this letter, but I don't know if it's.
What's the best and the right way of approaching this? I didn't think your letter was bad,
I mean,
it was very,
I do
But-
have the minutes from our meeting, April 18th of 2024,
Yep.
18 Main Street, supposed to name after Lorna Rose. Does Taft name, have to be attached to building as Taft family donated building and land, maybe looking for opinions or thoughts. Jane suggested historical plaque recognizing directors throughout the years. She has a genealogy room named after her. We're all okay with plaque in the building. Maybe plaque with full history of building, not just directors. Maybe bump to historical commission. Andrew will reach out to Mike Morelli, who's saying historical commission is the better department to handle this. April 14th of 2020. Can we just copy that paragraph?
In the accepted minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I do pare them down a little bit, it's probably not quite as detailed as this, but I would certainly be happy to type all this and send this out, and that's what was voted on April 18th of 24.
I mean, the understanding really has to be that this was a request made for that building. Not here.
And by a community member, by like a
Yeah.
single
Right.
community member.
Right.
So,
Right, and to be fair, like, what is the criteria in town for the way?
right.
Well, that's
That
one
is,
suggested by
that is a
somebody.
bigger
That's-
question,
yeah.
right? That is, and maybe that is a question that the select board could talk about, because the town has more than one building, and like, what is the process? It seems like there should be a process. Huh?
I know.
No,
That's perfect. I love it. I was
Okay.
going to be sarcastic.
Oh, okay.
Great.
But I think that's fair, like.
Yeah. Right, we don't know, right, like, I don't know, like, the person this is named after, I don't know if there are other people that should have buildings named after that.
Do you have a
So,
policy on?
well, I don't know, I don't know.
Is this about this
One individual, not that I.
I think that would be,
Very.
and that would be a step.
the library got its name originally because they donated the building
Yes.
that we were in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Those are
how
is
the
the
Taft
founder
library,
of the Taft Library.
that's how it came to be.
And then, right,
And it moved, I was saying this earlier, it moved locations. So the records room was the first place it was, and it was the Taft Library then. Then it moved over to what was a Unitarian church or something. I can't remember what it was, what the church denomination had been. That became the Taft Library. Here, and that became the Taft Library. As it had been for almost 100 years.
Right. Something breaking in.
yeah. So, I guess, yes, I mean, I'm happy to like bring it up to Jason. It's just, it's tricky because like once there are three of us
Yeah.
talking, then we
Right.
get into like,
Yes.
open meeting. law.
Yep.
So I don't want to do that, but, so anyhow, we'll see. I mean, I
mean, if
don't
they,
feel like this is necessarily going to escalate. And I
don't think
think that, you know, if it comes up, like, a lot of times things will come up first in like town administrator report, as things that have come up, and maybe it can come up that like, hey, do we have a policy? Do we have a policy as a town for naming things? Like there are policies about naming streets, I think. I don't think there's anything in the bylaws. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe this could go to the bylaw committee about.
These are.
it's just fucking every committee in the.
So Lee was just saying that the school committee has
Yeah.
a standardized policy on naming things, so.
That is a good thing to have, because like, it
Yeah.
also strikes me like, right, this would need to bring in town council, especially when there are like donations involved, so like, this is, I think that it's too early to have this sort of joint meeting. I mean, that would be my
Agreed.
input, that it's like a lot of other conversations, I think
Right.
would happen.
And currently the budget is probably more of the precedent than,
You expunks.
yeah.
So I guess my question here,
Yeah,
one, there's 5 sides to every story. No,
Yeah.
and we're looking at 3 or 4, there's still, I'm sure, another one out there, so hey,
right.
so be it. Okay, kind of crazy, that's cool. But what can we do as a group to best support you and to best support you as we inform the next levels? It's my question
Yeah.
for both the select board and for our director.
Well, I guess my concern right now is that the last response I received had to do with, no, it's gonna go on the agenda. And,
Well,
I don't know, I mean.
Yeah,
I
that's the
don't know
last
if you
response
can-
from Mike.
From
Yeah.
Mike, I mean, we could try to forward that.
so I mean, my suggestion to you would be to have an agenda next meeting where you could like formally discuss like the name of the library and like what it would, like why it, like people's feelings about changing the library, just like to have that down. Like, I mean, I think because,
Or is that relating it to credence?
oh, that's a good question.
I don't think so, no,
No, okay.
this should energize a bigger bylaw question. So this,
All
our
right, so we'll
discussion
discuss it next
energize policy. That's, I think, fantastic, there's nothing wrong with that.
I just feel like it's useful to have it like documented, that like, and maybe there's some research that needs to be done about like the history of these decisions and bringing in, like, I feel like it is useful information to know that the school committee, is it the district or the committee that has the policy about
The school
naming?
district.
The school district.
Mersey has. a
Yeah,
policy.
so I mean, I think that would be worth
State.
like bringing in, just because the topic has been raised, right? It's been raised. And the thing is, like, emails like this, they're public records.
Right.
Like,
Mhm.
so I don't think it's unreasonable to put it, like, to put a formal book to it, so. Like, even just put about the process, like, just to put it, like, at least say that, like, this current committee, this is position, whatever that is.
My concern was before that, though, would it somehow wind up on an agenda, because I don't think.
Oh, select board agenda.
The select board agenda.
Well, if it.
I think his biggest concern is how does he or does he respond to Mike's last
I don't even
email?
know if he needs to.
I'm just thinking now that might be jumping the gun.
Yeah.
I agree.
So.
After having this
assuming
discussion.
Is well intentioned
Right.
and maybe has not realized that like, that the ideas are disruptive. Like, I don't think it's meant to be disruptive.
No, I agree.
So I think that like, maybe there's an enthusiasm for an idea that like, I don't know the backstory about. But, and, you know, maybe we'll talk about it, but I know that I will argue my position, which is that, like, this is not something you can rush into. Right,
Correct.
no matter what, like, this is,
Allison, will you do us a favor and put that little tidbit together,
Yep.
send it out to us as a group, and then that way we have that information
Yep.
for our next meeting, and we can say that we discussed it, but we can also kind of,
and maybe like with a link to, do you post the minutes on the website? Where are the, I mean,
They do get posted, I
like,
think.
where are
that's
they now?
that's a
after
bold one, so I don't know
Mm.
how that's.
They should.
They're gonna get there at some point.
And there
Part
will
of
be
the issue
as
is.
well.
transition from
We have
the
a,
website to this website.
right, yeah, I know, I have to find acceptable.
Emailed me a couple times, I haven't heard back, but I haven't really followed it.
Oh, Katie's
Yeah, Katie,
moved
you
on.
won't hear.
Oh, okay.
So,
Just saying.
Yeah.
I forwarded them to her and I didn't hear.
I'm not surprised. So we don't have an executive assistant at this time.
Oh, okay.
All right, so
I have all the minutes and I'm happy to forward them to anyone at any time.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think it would be useful just to have that handy, like presumably they are out there, like, if a public record was to come in. Or,
Right.
presumably someone would be able to find them, but like, I don't know where they migrated to after this.
Yeah, I don't know that either.
I'll do some looking.
And if you need anything, James, let me know.
Okay.
And also, I mean, the recording, the YouTube should be up for that meeting, so this, it's like,
Sure.
there are lots of ways to refer to that. But I think, yeah. And he says to an upcoming agenda, right? Like, at least the last email I saw said an upcoming agenda.
It's not like you said the next agenda.
Right, so that, and it, I mean, I think many people will be of the opinion that this is, we have to focus on, we have town meeting coming up,
Yeah.
right,
Right.
and budget is still, in progress, so. And then also, Jeremy's gonna be on leave for a couple of weeks, so. I don't think it's imminent,
It's an imminent.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
so, So, yeah, I mean, and I'm happy, yeah, I'm happy to voice your concerns, like if it happens, like if it gets on the agenda and you all are not able to take it, I'm happy to pass on concerns.
Yeah, I'll add it to next month's agenda.
Yeah, and then, right, if you vote on it, it's easier for me to pass on the concerns because they can be formalized.
Right.
Perfect.
Okay.
Anything else? That was the only thing.
I'll just pass this.
Oh, yeah, and then, we
Oh.
have, when we wanna have our next meeting. Look at the calendar
There's
here,
there's 3 copies.
April
If somebody can data on.
second,
Do we need to put it
Thursday
in
would be
any
the
order?
ninth.
Does it need to go in any order? I don't think so. Does it typically?
I'm sorry.
Like a document?
Should it be like Lisa as the vice, as the chair, me as the vice
So they
chair?
can Put the side letter.
Yeah, we
I
might
would.
just do
Yeah,
that.
doesn't.
So you'll go first?
So
So,
the second Thursday would be the 9th.
The 9th.
of April.
yep. That
I'm
work?
good with that.
Good.
Yep.
Today is 3/12. 26. Thank you.
There you go.
Copies.
I'm still screwing it up.
Here.
Actually, one other thing that, which it sort of relates to some of the shortages and something that we talked about here, because Jeremy mentioned that he has been continuing to look into a community calendar option. I mean, so I know it's right, so,
That's
I
right.
know Howard had actually expressed an interest in helping with that, but there may be like a service. So it wouldn't be, it's not there yet, but he mentioned that at those. That's the last one. Board meeting.
Okay.
But like it's, I know the Mendon Commons has events listing, but it's not a full-blown calendar. Like there may be that possibility of a community calendar that is doing that, and I think that come out of like potentially the select board budget.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, actually, you mentioned that. I know we've talked before about the scheduling of things and how sometimes they've conflicted with something big we didn't even realize. Yeah, I think there was the Lions service.
Oh, service, right,
yes.
So it would be helpful.
Oh,
It's gonna be on Monday this week. It's in July. I think is it the 3rd week or 4th week? I don't even remember.
it'll be on a future agenda.
It's coming. I mean, I know that Tara and Dan were trying to work that out, but I think it's gonna be on Monday.
I'm already thinking about September, so. Yeah. So,
Thank you.
All right, anything else?
I don't think so.
A motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
7:14.
Nice.
the stop recording and